Hello, it's Captain Jim here aboard the Monopoly Project yacht for our monthly book reviews. We're on Bell Vista Lakes. Every successful real estate investor has a yacht, and this is the Monopoly Project yacht. Unfortunately, it's the Bikini Girls' day off, and so you just have me. And you can see I'm wearing my new wireless microphone. So today we have 5 books to review. 4 are about the history of Phoenix, and 1 is about real estate investing. So we're going to jump right into it right now. Okay, hello there. We're back again with our first set of books to review. We have 4 books. You can see them right here. They're big picture books, basically, and they're about the history of Phoenix, and especially downtown Phoenix, the downtown Roosevelt Row area. We bought the Gold Spot historic building, which was built in 1925. You can see I just kicked that. And so we're looking up for information on it for our 100th year anniversary. So anyway, there's 4 books here. The first one is called Mid-Century Phoenix. It's by Arizona Highways. Second one is Phoenix's Roosevelt Row, and of course the Gold Spot is literally on Roosevelt Row. And then there's 2 more books. One's Phoenix Then and Now, and then a Phoenix Past and Present. So let's start off with the first one, Phoenix's Roosevelt Row. You can see it right here. And the author is Greg Esther and Nicole Underwood. Hopefully you can see that. And some course adjustments. Okay, so basically this is a picture book with captions. So there's lots of pictures in here, and each one has a caption. You can see each one has a caption that tells sort of a little story, so it's very good. And I found this book at the local CVS. I was stopped by there on the way to church and to grab a couple things, and they had a rack of Phoenix historical books, and so this one was in there, and I started leafing through it, and I found a reference to our newfound friend Kimber Lanning, who is a fixture on Roosevelt Row. In fact, she's heavily involved in the preservation and restoration of the arts district in Phoenix, having her own art store and record store and all these kind of things, but she's still active. Trying to keep out right now a big box tequila bar and things like that. So anyway, so when I saw her pictures of her and mentions, I immediately bought the book. And so just starting to go through it, I'll say a little more about that in a minute. But it's interesting that on page 7, they note that Clint Eastwood movie The Gauntlet was actually filmed in downtown Phoenix in 1977. And it says here, it's on page 7. So if you go to page 7, it says the urban core, large areas were rezoned from single family to mixed use high rise. And there was an inventory of empty buildings and vacant land where structures were raised to make way for the promise of future development that never occurred, and so on and so forth. And in fact, Kimber, when we went and talked to her, actually told us that story also from a direct knowledge. So the other interesting thing is that on page 16 they talk about punk rocker Wendy O. Williams. I think this was from the 80s. Her video, "It's My Life," you can see and you'll see the video on the review where she is. It's a video of her driving a car off a cliff. Shades of Thelma and Louise, right? But I think that was before that. But anyway, they got hold of a house in this area in Phoenix to wreck it so as to put in the video, and you can see they have a picture of it in the book right there with Wendy. Wendy is the small blonde right here, and then apparently next to her, the guy in the overalls is the guy who owned the house. But if you watch the video of It's My Life, you can see them actually knocking down the house and so forth. But one of the other reasons I like this book, and I think I mentioned it in the other 3 or 4 or 5 historic Phoenix books that we reviewed is that on page 9 it says, a pioneering spirit of optimism and rugged perseverance. It's a positive view of Phoenix and growth in general. And a lot of times when you get these books, they're just all negative about, the new things and progress and building and developers and all that kind of stuff. So I did enjoy that aspect of it. Page 17 mentions a historic property survey by J.M. Feder. And we plan to look it up and check it out and see if the gold spot's listed on there and starting when. I mentioned Kimber at the beginning, and I want to go in a little detail on that. Like I said, she actually has an art gallery on Roosevelt Row on 4th Street. We're down at 3rd Avenue, so it's like 7 blocks, although they're not fixed city blocks. They're sort of irregular. But anyway, she also has a personal house there, which is when we went to visit her, she told us this personal house had been across the street, and she actually bought it and moved it across the street. And sure enough, in here, there's a picture of the house literally being moved right down here. You can see there's a truck in there literally moving the house across the street. And that's on page 29. And then on page 24, they mention, I got to make sure I don't hit the bridge here. Okay, on page 24, her modified arts. Which one is it? I'm about to hit the top one. Her modified arts store, which is right next to the house. So, in any case, that was interesting. And like I said, we talked to Kimber. She told us a lot of the history. I'm not doing too well. Whoa. Okay, so where are we? So this is, I think and also she was one of the instigators of First Friday, where the first Friday of the month, you make it a walk Friday, and you get a lot of arts people and craftsmen and obviously drinks and food and everything, and you block off streets, and it's pretty big in Phoenix. This one in Phoenix is pretty big. There's also one in Mesa, Chandler, and all through the valley now. So in any case, like I said, I really enjoyed this book for the personal references, and also, like I said, the pictures are really good, and they are in color. You'll see a lot of the next the 2 big picture books are actually not in color. So this is nice because it actually has color pictures of what happened over the last 20 years. So anyway, so that's Phoenix's Roosevelt Row. And the next book in the same vein is Mid-Century Phoenix. And it features photos by Bob Markoff. It's written by, or it was published by Arizona Highways, which is a magazine here in Arizona. It was originally involved, literally the highway department, and I think it's still affiliated with them, although it might be a nonprofit now. But it's another picture book with captions. It's the photos are all by Bob Markoff, who is a legend in Phoenix photography. Arizona Highways, like I said, is a magazine, and it's basically known all over the world for printing beautiful pictures of Arizona, of cactus and mountains and rivers and birds and everything. Just the photography is spectacular. And the interesting thing, of course, is that the Arizona Highways was really started in 1925, the same time as the Gold Spot building. So its 100th anniversary is coming up just like ours, and that's one of the reasons why I bought the book. So anyway, like I said, on page 5 in the introduction, it stated that these are outtakes of hundreds of thousands of images by Bob Markoff. And so there are none of the Gold Spot in this book, but I would imagine that somewhere in their archive, maybe he took a picture of the Gold Spot. We actually wrote them an email asking them that, so we'll see what the answer is. On page 7, and I think this book was written in 2015. I think it was on my list. I should have. Let me see here. Mid-Century Phoenix, 160 pages, hardback, written in 2007. And of course, that makes sense now when I read this quote here. It says that page 7 records that Phoenix grew from 65,000 people in 1940 to 580,000 in 1970, and it's in the millions now. So I would wonder what they thought of that now, and in fact, it's still even growing now because of influx from other areas. So the growth has just been spectacular. Page 8 mentions the Salt River Valley of Phoenix is one of the richest agricultural areas in the world. I don't know if I believe that or if it's true. I know they grew a lot of citrus and cotton here, alfalfa, but it's certainly nothing like the fruits and vegetables and nuts of California and certain other areas. So it'd be interesting to see where they came up with that. Page 8 and 9 discusses air conditioning, AC, which they say made Phoenix, which of course is true. Without air conditioning, there wouldn't be these millions of people here, including myself. And then another interesting thing is there's a lot of canals in local irrigation canals in Phoenix, even before the big Salt River project that brought the water from the Colorado River. But it says that people water skied behind their cars in the local irrigation canals, and unfortunately they didn't have any pictures of that. I would have liked to see a picture in that. Another curious thing on page 12, he mentions that there was a fly-in bank branch in Phoenix, and of course we all know what a drive-through bank is. That's pretty common now, but I didn't know there was actually one where you could fly in a plane, pull up to it and do your banking and then fly away. That, again, they didn't have any pictures, so I was sort of missing. Sort of wish they would have had pictures of that because that's interesting. And then finally, the last comment I had on this book is the opening sequence. They say the opening sequence of Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 movie Psycho is of the then Phoenix skyline, and I think the movie takes place between Phoenix and LA. She's going, Janet Lynn, no, whatever her name, Janet Leigh is leaving Phoenix to go to LA, and she goes to the Bates Motel and gets murdered by the psychotic guy and blah blah blah. And so so that's mentioned in here again also. So anyway, so that's our second of our 4 books on Phoenix being developed. The last 2, they both have a common author. The first one is The Phoenix Then and Now, and the common author is Phil Scharback. Turn here, right? And then the second one, Phil Scharback again, but with a different co-author, Phoenix Past and Present. And basically the format in both of these books is the same. Like I said, you can see it's, can you see this? It's on this side, there's what it used to look like in the 30s, 40s, or whenever they took that picture, and then what it looked like when this book was published. And, you know, obviously the old pictures are mostly black and white. The new pictures are color. Losing all my notes here. And then, of course, here's the then and now. Let me see if I can, again, in this one, you can see the development in this picture here. This is ASU. This is the Gamage, the new Gamage theater. I think it was not designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, but it was designed. Maybe it was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. This is 4th largest university in the United States. I think it might even be bigger than that now. And it was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, the Gamage. It's sort of a circular cupcake cake type building. Maybe I'll try and put a picture of it, and you can see it was an empty field when it was first shot. So anyway, those are 4 books on Phoenix history, and with this emphasis on the Roosevelt Road, downtown Phoenix, and the gold spot that we just bought in our 100th anniversary. So anyway, this is Jim for the Monopoly Project. We will get back to you on our next book here in a few minutes. Thank you for listening. And again, this is Jim for the Monopoly Project Floating Book Reviews. Thank you.